Adding fish to their new aquarium can sometimes be stressful to them, so doing it properly is really important. However, if those fish are incredibly dangerous, poisonous, or some of the best escape artists in the aquarium hobby, that adds an extra layer of stress for you. And that is the type of fish we'll be working with today. Dangerous, poisonous, and some of the hobby's most notorious escape artists. Now, I typically focus on 5 different things. First being quarantine. Were they properly quarantined, and for how long were they? Now, the second is going to be water parameters. We're taking one fish from one type of water and adding them to another. I like to make sure the parameters are similar, but most importantly, the temperature of the water is similar. If not, we need to look into acclimating them to those parameters if needed. And now we can move on to moving them safely. The first fish that I moved was my electric eel to his new aquarium, and I faced one big challenge. How do I move him safely from one side of the aquarium gallery to the other and get him into a relatively small 8-inch slit, maybe closer to 4 or 5 inches because of the brace on the aquarium, without him jumping out or electrocuting me? And this time I took a large net to scoop him, hold up the majority of his body, took a small net and trapped his head and kind of pinned him in here. From there, walk over to the aquarium with the lid already removed. And as soon as I took the net off of his head, he simply slid outside of the net and into his new aquarium. The second fish that I moved was Tyrese, the fajaka puffer. Tyrese was actually in the house, in the basement, in his own aquarium down there. I took some tank water from his aquarium, put it in a bucket. I simply netted him and put him in that bucket of water. And only a few inches of water, meaning that if he decides to jump, he's not going to get far. I did it this way because if you net a puffer and they're out of water for too long, like coming out of my basement, up the stairs, across my yard, into the aquarium gallery, he's going to start sucking in too much air, puffing up, causing an incredible amount of stress and perhaps irreversible damage. Even though puffers will puff up in the aquariums to kind of flex and exercise those muscles, if done in response to stress, a lot of the times the puffers don't do that well. So I moved him in a bucket of water and simply dumped him into the aquarium. Finally, moving rope fish. No matter what you do and what type of aquarium you have, these guys are going to get out. Luckily, I built these aquariums with approximately a 3-inch lip, so if they try to jump out, they're not going to get out. But they can get out during various other ways. Heck, if I had a tiny little hole in the center of this lid here, they would want to jump out. The only way I can get them in there, same method as Tyrese. I can't run around with a net from the basement of my house out here because they will jump. These guys are the worst fish in the hobby. I can't stand them. They gross me out, and all they want to do is get out of the aquarium. They remind me of snakes, and I'm just not a huge fan of snakes. Into the bucket they went, and into the aquarium. Luckily, this is my wife's aquarium and her rope fish. With all 3 of these types of fish kind of moved to their aquariums, the next thing we need to do is let's make sure they eat. I like to give them a day, sometimes same day I'll feed them. And first on the list was Tyrese. Drop in a few chunks of shrimp, see if he eats. He didn't go after as gusto as he used to, and it looks to me as though his coloration is a little bit darker than typical, and we're going to have to address that in a second. The rope fish, Tamara told me they ate. They're her fish, she can feed them. They prefer just simple little pellets, believe it or not. But they ate. So far, top row of tanks, good sign. Fish are in, they're surviving, they're doing well. This happened a week ago, and they've been eating. The electric eel, though, he likes to hide behind the large log that we designed for him, knowing that this is kind of what he's going to enjoy. Added in a few drops of food, and he didn't come out right away. But when he did, he too ate that food aggressively. So now we know he's eating, he's safe, and he's doing well. We also redesigned the entire 2000, and I hadn't fed those guys in a couple days, which is good. I wanted to try feeding them, see if they were eating, if they're stressed out, the biggest one being the Asian arowana. So, dropped in a few pieces of food. Everybody ate, except 2 of the fish in that aquarium. my pair of Geophagus savannae. They stayed off to the side. I'm guessing they laid eggs, it hatched, or they laid eggs and they're guarding them. It's something to do with breeding for sure. Whether or not they do well in this aquarium long term, we are going to see. But very shortly, I'm adding a very special fish to this aquarium, so we'll see what happens. Finally, the environment. Now we know the electric eel's environment is ideal for him. It's quiet, not a ton of flow, he's got a tremendous amount of foliage. But I swear, as we look over at the Valisaria, it seems as though that his favorite part of the aquarium. If he's not spending his time behind the wood, he comes up through the val and just stares at me, almost asking me to feed him. We'll see in due time if all of these plants will survive, but the Anubias will do fine. They were with him before. Let's see if he'll come out. He sees me moving around, I think. But if I knock on the tank, that's usually a sign that I'm going to feed him, because I've kind of trained him for the fact that if I knock, I add food immediately after. Unfortunately, I already fed Piranha all the defrosted food that I had, so I shouldn't have done that because I don't want to trick him. But he's getting more and more settled into this tank. I hope he does well long term. You'll notice that I added a couple rock piles, and they're not even really rock piles, just random rocks over there, because what I noticed what he'll do is he'll go to the ends of the aquariums and he'll push all the sand up into the center. And these rocks are going to create some form of a barrier so he can't do that. In the meantime, he just kind of stays back behind that wood. He comes out when he wants, and it's an incredibly fun aquarium to have. And long term, I think he's going to just settle in more and more, and I can't wait for that val to just take over this entire aquarium. I think it's going to be absolutely incredible long term. And this is arguably one of the first planted electric eel aquariums that I have ever seen. So he was moved safely, and he's doing well in his aquarium. So nothing needs to be changed here. Everything's going to be okay. As for the ropes, these guys are more active than I thought. You'll notice that there is some algae in the aquariums. I did have to go away due to a family emergency, and I was gone for a few days. Came back and I forgot to turn the lights off because I didn't set the timers yet, so I've been manually turning them on and off. So we are going to have a little bit of algae in these tanks. Not as bad as it could have been. However, you'll notice that the ropes, they kind of just perch wherever they want and stare at me. I'll also point out that there's two different colors. These two are much more lighter and worm-like they look like a Canadian nightcrawler. And these ones over here are much darker. Let me know if that's just simply collected from a different locale. There's the back of one right there, if you can see. Or is this male-female? I don't know much about ropes. These are, oh, and the other head's right in that crack. They always have their eyes on you. Very cool little fish, though. I just feel like they're going to get out and get me. In order to make sure they don't get out, it's one full continuous do-it-yourself aquarium lid, and then in the corners where they might be able to squeeze their head out because of the returns, I've pushed in a little bit of sponge there just to kind of block that off. They're not going to be able to push that out. They're not a powerful fish. They're just a squiggly little bugger. But this aquarium, again, perfect. There is only 4 in here. I don't know if I want to get her more rope fish or if we should add in some other type of fish just for a little bit more activity throughout the aquarium. I don't know what that might be. It's been ages since I've been able to get to the fish store, see what they got and whatnot. So let me know in the comment section below what you think. But by far right now, just by appearances, this is my favorite aquarium. The second would have to be Tyrese's, but this is where we're going to start to see algae has kind of done a number in here. One of the things that I've noticed though is now that Tyrese has a lot more open swimming space, he's out more, he's swimming more, and he's way bigger than I remember. Maybe it's because he was down in the basement for so long, but front to back, this aquarium is 16 inches wide, it's 16 inches tall, 48 inches long, making him at least a foot long, wouldn't you say? I'm not used to seeing him this dark, but puffers, similar to Oscarfish, can at times, and you're seeing him change color in real time right now, they lighten up or darken based off mood. One of the things I would like to do, and I'm probably going to do it right now, is I think I'm going to remove the wood. I thought this was a good idea, but it's kind of stopping him from having as much swimming space as he liked. But look how friendly he is. He's not going to bite me. He's going to edit that out. No. One of the things that I like about him, though, is he's incredibly personable and active. The other thing you'll notice is he is 12 inches long. A lot of people ask me, what are you going to do when his beak or his front teeth need to be trimmed? I don't. He hasn't done it in this aquarium yet, but in due time, you're going to be able to look at the rocks and you'll see scrape marks on it. He's going to manually trim and scrape his teeth. Usually a diet can help with that, feeding clams, snails, that sort of thing. There was plenty of snails in here. There is no longer, but the system is flooded with them. There are plenty of snails in here. Maybe they all got out, but there was the other day when I left. I've been gone out of the gallery for another week, believe it or not. But we even have some cyanobacteria. I'll manually remove this and do a big water change. Bada bing, bada boom, that'll be fixed. But I think what I should do is remove these branches. And I think that aquarium would be perfect for the fish, not for us. The fish comes first. We design aquariums with the fish in mind. We build them, then we scape them for the end result, which is the fish. Now, don't be stressed out or worried or you got something wrong because something doesn't work out in the tank for the fish and you might have to remove it. This is a prime example. It's not necessarily not working out. I just kind of want to see how he acts with these wood out. If he gets worse, I'll add him back in, but if he acts better, we'll keep him out. He's not doing anything out of character right now. You'll notice pufferfish a lot of the times like to lay down on surfaces. He's right now laying on top of a rock, and he kind of sometimes buries himself in the sand a little bit here, but remember when I added in this big flat rock? That was supposed to be his bed. It's kind of what pufferfish do, and I think Tyrese will go over there if I remove it. I guess the downside to removing it would be, of course, it's going to look similar to the rope fish tank, but maybe not. I do wonder what other types of fish I could add to this aquarium with Tyrese. I'm not so sure in such small quarters, or relatively small quarters, that he's going to be as welcoming and as nice as he typically has been in other aquariums. But removing this wood here is definitely going to open the tank up, give him a little bit more space. And I'd be lying to you right now if I said that I don't fantasize and or think about maybe one day Tyrese ends up in the 2000 with everybody else. The downside to that is I truly think the Asian arowana would beat him up. Now that doesn't look as good as it did, but realistically and ideally, it's probably going long-term to be better for Tyrese. He's a scaleless fish, similar to the ropes. He's a scaleless fish, and you'll notice that he does have a little bit of scratches on his sides. That will be from rough edges, so I like to use round stones and soft surfaces only in the aquarium with him, so he doesn't injure himself. It looks like we have a bit of beard algae. I think it's just from the lights staying on for an entire week. So we'll have to get all of those off and, kind of big water change and that'll be it. But look at this aquarium and the shimmering it's doing. See the back wall and the effects? And then the rope aquarium doesn't really have the same effect, the same shiver, or at least not as dramatic. And the only difference is one has its lid on and one doesn't. The placement of lights, the type of lid you have, everything can change how dramatic your aquarium can be. I technically don't mind these two tanks because they're really not, they're pretty similar, but I definitely leaning towards the ropes because it's far more lush. I personally like Tyrese the fajaka puffer a little bit better, but you can tell Tyrese is I think he's about 7 years old or so now, and he's quite large. I don't know if he's friendly towards me anymore because he's been downstairs in my wife's care for so long, but let's see if we can't give him a little pet. If you've never touched a wet, alive pufferfish, it's absolutely disgusting. I can't imagine him being fast. Oh yeah, that's gross. Yeah, so now you can see my hand next to him. Yeah, he's quite large. And very friendly towards me, besides that one time where he tried to bite my finger off. But moving and adding fish to your aquarium, something I've done quite a bit. I've taught you guys so much about quarantining, acclimating, adding, the plop and drop method, the drip method, all different methods of adding fish to your aquarium and or making sure they're successful in your fish tank. But you also have to remember that I'm a DIY fish keeper. I'm not a DIY aquarist. I'm not a DIY aquascaper. Fish to me come first. I'm a fish keeper, and then absolutely everything else comes second. I think what I'm trying to explain there, my apologies, my mind is absolutely elsewhere at this point. I'm trying to get these videos for you and whatnot. What I'm trying to explain though is quite simply, as a fish keeper first, what I mean is the fish comes first. And then I plan the aquarium around them. The size of the tank, the construction of the aquarium, the aquascape, everything absolutely else comes next. And what you'll notice is over the years, I've shown you multiple different methods showing equal success in all of them. So if you do something different, whether it's a lot different, slightly different, it's okay, because I believe that everybody has their own way of fish keeping and there is no necessarily right or wrong way. There are ethical and non-ethical ways of fish keeping, but I haven't seen it in our community that often. However, if you'd like to share some of your stories or tips about adding fish to your aquariums, share them in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video where we have to do something really cool.